and welcome to Kids Online. Thank you for watching today and for being part of our new programme, God Is. We are on week 6 of our programme and we have already learned some of the things that makes God, God. We've learned that God is 3 in 1, God is peace, God hears our prayers, God is speaking to me, and God is trustworthy. And those are just some of the things that God is. Today I am excited about learning another thing that makes God, God, another part of His character. And we can remember what we have already learned just as we are now going to worship God. Worship is a time that we remember who God is, what He can do, and what He has promised each of us. So let's get ready. Let's worship God with everything in our hearts.
Help me not to fear or be anxious. I know that you are near. You are gracious to turn your ear to me. Lord, hear my plea. Spirit, you are strong in my weakness. When I'm lost for words, you promise to intercede for me. For you know my need. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth. For yours is the kingdom, the glory and the power forever and ever.
It has been one of my favourite things in this programme to see some of your faces teaching the Bible truth each week. And today I want you to look out for a very special visitor, someone who hasn't even been in kids before because they are brand new. But don't get distracted by the cuteness. Listen to what these kids are about to teach you, which is today's Bible truth.
God is able to do the impossible. God is able to do the impossible. God is able to do the impossible.
will be our 6th week of learning this memory verse. And it is so important that we take the Word of God, the Bible, and learn it in our hearts, so that whenever we hear someone telling us something different, we know the truth, because everything that is in the Bible is true. I hope you're getting on really well and learning it each week. Maybe some of you already have it learned. I'm still trying to learn it myself. So let's all read it together and say it out loud as we read it on the screen.
Hey kids, and I have a question for you. Can anybody think of a time in your life when something felt impossible? It seemed like you could not do it at all. Maybe it was playing a new sport for the first time, or maybe it was tying your shoelace for the very first time. I know that can be so hard. Or can you think of any Bible stories where something seemed impossible? For example, we have Daniel, who is in the lion's den, or we have when the Israelites, they tried to escape from Egypt, but they were left with the challenge of trying to cross the Red Sea. But we see in the end of these stories that God steps in and he protects Daniel from the lion's den, and he splits the sea for the Israelites. And there's many more stories in the Bible where God does the impossible. But aren't those stories just amazing? I love them. And just like we learned in today's Bible truth, and what a good Bible truth it is, that God is able to do the impossible. And in today's story, we are going to see how God was able to do the impossible, that nothing was too big for God. And our story is about Mary's good news, and it is found in Luke chapter 1, verse 26 to 56. And it starts with God sending a message to a woman called Mary. And how do you think that God sent this message to Mary? Do you think that God sent it through phone call, or through an email, or maybe even through a letter? No, God didn't send it in any of those ways. God sent an angel called Gabriel to Mary. And Mary was this woman who was engaged to be married to Joseph. And Gabriel told Mary to not be afraid, for you have found favour with God, and you will give birth to a son, and you will name him Jesus. And he will be very great, and he will be called the Son of the Most High. Mary was confused and scared. She didn't know how this was going to happen. But the angel told her that this child would be born from God. He also told her that her relative Elizabeth was pregnant. And this was absolutely crazy, as Elizabeth was extremely old and didn't think that she could have children. But Mary trusted what the angel had said to her. And Mary responded, I am the Lord's servant. And a few days after this encounter with the angel, Mary goes to visit Elizabeth. And Elizabeth's baby jumped for joy as soon as Mary entered her house, as soon as Mary entered the room. And Elizabeth told Mary that she was extremely blessed, and so is her child. She said that she was blessed because she believed that the Lord would do what he said. Mary responded to this with a song of praise. Her focus turns away from herself and her situation, and she focuses on God. She focuses on who God is and all what he has done for her in her life. And she demonstrates God's kindness and God's love towards her and his people. She chooses to be thankful and grateful instead of being sad and anxious and worried and scared. And even with all of her fears and all of the questions she had, Mary remembers who she belongs to. She remembers that she is a daughter of the creator of the universe. Isn't that amazing? and nothing is impossible or too hard for God. And in that moment, Mary remembers God's character and his faithfulness, and her heart and her mind focuses on him alone. She isn't worried about what the future holds, as she knows that God holds her future, that God is in control. And we can trust God just like Mary did. We can have full confidence in that God is a good and faithful God. And it said in verse 37 of what we just read there, that in this story that no word from God will fail. Isn't that just amazing to know that God never fails? He is always with us and for us. So just remember, kids, just like what we learned in our story today and in our Bible truth, that God is able to do the impossible and that nothing is ever too hard for God.
Thank you so much for being with us today, kids. I hope you are going to have a great week, whatever is coming up, and that you remember that God is able to do the impossible. No matter what we face, that is a truth that we can hold on to. God is able to do the impossible. So, have a good week, and we will see you back here next week. Bye!